Thank you, Excellency, for your statement. Our next speaker is His Excellency Mr. Buddhi Athauda, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka. The floor is yours, sir.
Chairman of the Conference of State Parties, Ambassador Said Abraham, Director General of the OPCW, Ambassador Hamad Sumchu, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to have this opportunity to address the 18th session of the Conference of State Parties representing Sri Lanka. Mr. Chairman, I assure you of the support and cooperation of my delegation for a successful session of the Conference of State Parties. My delegation and I extend our sincere appreciation to outgoing chairperson, His Excellency Peter Goosen, Ambassador of South Africa, for his tireless commitment during the 17th session of the Conference of State Parties. Sri Lanka, as a founding state party of the Chemical Weapons Convention, is proud to offer our whole heart to Director General Ahmed Usumchu and the entire staff of the OPCW on being bestowed with the Nobel Peace Prize in response to the enormous effort during the past 16 years towards reaching a planet free of chemical weapons. Undoubtedly, the awarding of the prize is testimony and the ultimate recognition of the contributions made by the OPCW in effectively implementing the Chemical Weapons Convention. Sri Lanka wishes to also express our congratulations to the Director General of the OPCW and his entire team for working tirelessly towards the achievement of universality of the Chemical Weapons Convention. With 2 countries joining just this year, the total number of state parties is at 190. My delegation urges the other nations to join and commit to the Chemical Weapons Convention without any conditions and without any delay. Furthermore, the decision by the Director General to establish the annual OPCW Award Fund is yet another innovative initiative, which my delegation fully endorses. While truly strengthening the work of the OPCW in the international arena, the scope and reach of the organization would be enhanced. The noble vision of CWC, a world free of chemical weapons, is more than a dream. Today, we stand on the threshold of realizing such a world and need to ensure that this message is taken to every person in every part of the globe. It needs to filter through society, and the younger generations need to understand the impact of chemical weapons and the work of the OPCW in making our planet a safer and secure place to live in. I earnestly request the OPCW to consider increasing efforts and allocating more resources in a joint effort with the state parties for the promotion of the convention, particularly through the use of modern media platforms. My delegation fully aligns itself with the statement delivered on behalf of the NAM countries by His Excellency S.A. Arakchi, Deputy for Legal and International Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Iran. Sri Lanka is satisfied with the steady progress being made by the possessor states to complete the destruction of their stockpiles, and we would like to remind you that Sri Lanka will stand behind a world free of chemical weapons. This would only be achieved through a universal conventions. Sri Lanka firmly believes that the chemicals should be used only for peaceful purposes. It was in that spirit, among other activities, that Sri Lanka hosted the 10th Regional Meeting on National Authorities of State Parties in Asia in Colombo in June 2012, which provided a platform for national authorities to discuss the regional issues on schedule, chemical imports, export monitoring mechanisms, and chemical security and safety in the region. Sri Lanka stands ready to host the security and safety training for state parties in the region in 2014. Mr. Chairman, having eradicated brutal terrorism that plagued Sri Lanka for about 3 decades, and having first-hand experience on these atrocities of terrorism, the effects of such conflicts are extremely familiar to us. Since the dawn of peace, the government of Sri Lanka has continued to make all efforts on reconciliation, resettlement, and reconstruction. Sri Lanka has surprised the world by settling close to 300,000 refugees in the shortest time period ever. We have built about 1,127 schools and over 700 kilometers of new roads only in the northern region in the country in less than as the chairperson in office of the Commonwealth. Mr. Chairman, addressing the 68th session of the United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency the President Mahinda Rajapaksa stressed the importance of multilateral engagement. He stated, and I quote, "The world needs no policing by few states, particularly when the UN is mandated to ensure international security through multilateral engagement. This engagement, to be complete in our time, must ensure protection of human race against flagrant abuse of modern science in such forms as nuclear and chemical weapons," unquote. Mr. Chairman, my delegation also would like to encourage and remind Executive Council when the time comes that rather than monopolizing the positions, it is only fair to rotate respective designations, thereby giving every country a chance. Let us realize, Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, let us realize that what is at stake when the prevalence of chemical weapons is not limited to the environment, lives, and livelihoods, but to the very sustenance of humanity.